More and more throughout history, we have yearned for peace and prosperity in the world, for there to be no hunger and zero poverty, a world that lives in harmony where there is justice and people do not suffer from war. The solution to these problems? Education. If you're interested in finding out more, this is the podcast for you. Welcome to our channel, Naked Education. My name is Hector Fernandez.
And my name is Monica Tijerina. And in today's session, we will talk about the Sustainable Development Goals, aka the SDGs. More specifically, SDG number 4, to ensure inclusive and equitable equality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. On the topic, we concluded individual research and interviews with certain people that we believed had the best input on our topics. Today, we'll be sharing 3 of the most interesting stories and opinions we discovered on their interviews.
The first person on the list is an interviewee who is a teacher at a private school. Her input is very interesting, as she is a woman with 20 years of experience at her institution and even more teaching. She outlines the greatest shortcomings at her institution and what she believes students need the most.
Tell us a little bit of her story, Hector, and her main perspective.
Well, I personally know this woman and I know she loves what she does. And she mentions how education is the roots of everything in our world and how the lack of good education and equal education for all is one of the main reasons most wars and conflicts exist. What do you think, Moni?
I agree with her in her opinion, and I do think that education is the base of everything and also the solution to many problems.
She also mentions how good education not only is what the academic topics they teach you at school, but the values that your parents teach you at home as well. I think that she is right, because I think no matter how smart a person is and how educated they are, it's their values that ultimately make a positive or negative contribution to society. For example, take Hitler. He was a very smart and educated man who, with his values, committed genocide to millions of innocent people.
Yes, I do agree with that. Education is basically made at home and then it's getting better as you go to school.
Of course. Finally, this teacher has a similar idea that we will discuss later, but she mentioned, when asked what she believes she could do to help society or help students want to learn more, she answered that the only way she can help is by being the example, by setting an example and striking hunger and curiosity in others so that they would want to do it themselves. And I think, I agree that one must not just speak their minds but act upon this as well.
Yes, actions speak louder than words.
Now we will be moving on to our second story.
The second person on the list is a person whom has been a teacher over the past 4 years in a public school. Her perspective is very interesting since she says what is behind everything and how is the relation between the government and the public schools.
Oh, great! That is really interesting. And what does she think that is essential for improving the school system?
She mentioned basically how the first thing to change is a better organization and a very specific purpose in a more detailed way, in order for the teachers to have a direct information from the persons who are in charge of education, so it won't pass too many filters. Because the truth is that information starts to spread and sometimes it's not right. So a solution, it could be a platform where they consult directly and see what they should teach and the information that they should give.
You're right, Monica. Bureaucracy is a real problem, especially in schools.
She also said that what she thinks that is the main difference between public and private schools is the support of the parents. In case of the public schools, the truth is that the parents think that the school is just a place where they can take care of their children while they are working. So what do you think about this, Hector?
I completely agree. This is the issue as well I found in one of my interviews, where some parents, as one of the stories later mentions, they don't support their children studying, especially in public schools, Whereas you said it, they just send them there so the school can babysit them. However, the support of the parents is very important. As we saw earlier, it's not only what the school teaches, but the values that the parents give the students as well.
Yes, I agree with that. And she also mentioned how the education system can be improved. She said that the public schools have a very old system which make school very old and irrelevant. They stay most of the time in the same desk and they don't have many movements throughout the day. This makes them more like lazy and they don't want to go to school. Since they want to teach in new ways, have new methods, new technologies, and better resources in order to have a better education.
Yes, I completely agree with this. We're in the 21st century, we're in 2019, and students honestly get bored nowadays. They have to, their attention span has decreased a lot because of technology, and schools have to update themselves in order to address these new generations. The system right now, it won't work at all.
Yes, I totally agree with that as well as you do.
Finally, we have our third and final story, which is an indigenous girl from the Sierra of Jalisco, and she is from a sort of public school that is run by the teachers are volunteers and the school is sustained by donations, and yet still this is one of the schools with the best scores of all the other public schools in the zone. So this girl describes herself as short and skinny. She is a fifth grader and she is intelligent and likes math. When she was asked what she thinks a good education consists of, she mentioned that both the teacher, the student must have a good attitude, and for the parents of the students to maintain themselves involved. This goes back to what you said earlier about money, about the importance of the support of the parents. As we can see, this girl believes she has the same problem. It's not only what we think or what teachers think, but it's what students feel as well, that they need more support from their parents.
Yes, that's what really makes it interesting to see how the teacher and the student think the same way and they wish to see some improvements made from their parents.
Yes, and it's also very interesting that when she was asked what is the most important thing that a school must teach, for her it's simply speaking the Spanish language, because they grow up learning their ethnic language, Birrárica, and for them the most important thing is Spanish, because they say that when they go to the city they have to understand others. So this is very interesting because, well, we take this for granted. We take these sort of things for granted, and we believe, as Marta said, that there are other more important things that a school must teach. So it's really interesting to find this contrast of what private school teachers think and what public school staff think or students think.
Yes, and it's very interesting that they agree on the same things and they wish to see certain improvements made in all of the three areas.
Yes, of course. And what was most interesting about her interview was when I asked her the same question I asked the private school teacher, what does she think she could do to interest society in equal education and interest students in learning? She answered the same exact thing, that by setting the example. And that's really interesting because a private school teacher and a public school student living in completely different environments think the exact same thing. That is the solution, which is setting an example. And she said, one achieves more things than with words. So she said that she has to take advantage of the academic opportunities that she's offered in order to set the example for others. And that's really interesting that she and the teacher have the same idea. I think this could be a universal truth.
Yes, I think they can really make a change with this.
So that concludes all of our stories today, and that's all the time we have for you today. So we just want to remind you that that's all the time we have for today. Thank you very much for listening to us, and we just want to remind you that education is one of the biggest issues out there, and what can you do from your home? Just set the example. Take advantage of the opportunities and appreciate the opportunities you have, and just be the example for others. Be that light, that beacon of hope for others. Thank you for listening.